Okay, so for 37 chapters now, we've been right in the middle of this storm of arguments and agonizing questions. Job, a man who has lost literally everything, has one single burning question: why? And now, that storm becomes real. God is about to speak from a whirlwind, and you can just feel the tension ratcheting up to its absolute peak.
That's Job's demand, right? It echoes through the whole book. But let's be really clear about what he's asking for here. He's not just looking for a bit of comfort. No, he is demanding a trial. He wants a legal showdown. He wants God to hand down a formal indictment so he can stand up and present his case. In Job's mind, this is a courtroom drama, and he is ready for his day in court.
So, the stage is set. God has been summoned, in a way, to the witness stand. Job, his friends, and, well, pretty much everyone who's ever read this book, were all waiting for the answer. The one thing Job wants, and let's be honest, the one thing we all expect, is an explanation for his suffering, a reason, a justification.
But that is not what he gets. Not even close. In what has to be one of the most stunning, jaw-dropping rhetorical pivots in all of literature, God doesn't answer Job's question at all. Instead, God completely changes the conversation.
And you can see this incredible shift right here on the screen. Job's whole world has shrunk down to himself. It's all about my suffering, my righteousness, my sense of justice. But God's response? It just explodes outward to a scale that's almost impossible to get your head around. The cosmos, the wild, the deep. The subject has been yanked away from Job's personal life and thrown into the vastness of all existence.
So what's going on here? Well, it's a deliberate strategy. It's called rhetorical reframing. It's like, instead of playing by Job's rules in the little courtroom he set up, God demolishes the courtroom and says, let's talk about the entire universe instead. The whole frame of the debate has been changed.
So how exactly does this reframing work? Well, it starts with this absolutely breathtaking poetic tour of a world that runs on rules far beyond anything humans can control or even really understand. Let's take a look at the itinerary for this tour.
God just unleashes this torrent of questions, right? Things like, hey Job, where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Who was it that shut the sea behind doors? Do you have any idea how the heavens are governed? Every single question is designed to highlight a world that functions perfectly fine without any human input or, frankly, any human permission.
And this brings us to the first massive insight from this whole cosmic tour. The universe isn't some random, chaotic mess. No, it has a deep, intricate, beautiful order to it. But, and this is the absolute key, that order is not centered on us. Its purpose isn't to make you comfortable or to perfectly align with your personal sense of fairness. It's an orderly world, but it's not for you.
Now, the second insight just drives this home even deeper, and it does it by focusing on wild animals. The mountain goat gives birth where no one will ever see it. The wild donkey roams free, totally ignoring the noise of the city. These creatures exist in their own world with their own systems, completely independent of human morality. Their lives have value on their own terms. The world is vibrantly, wildly alive, but it isn't alive for you.
Okay, so after this tour of the cosmos, which basically shows Job how little he actually knows, the speech takes a turn. It pivots from what Job doesn't understand to directly challenging what he thinks he could do better, which is to govern the world with true justice.
And when you break it down, the logic behind the entire speech is devastatingly simple. First, the tour of the universe established that Job doesn't understand the incredibly complex, interconnected system of reality. Second, it's painfully obvious he can't control it. So the conclusion is just inescapable. You are in no position to pass judgment on how this system is run.
So the core problem here isn't a failure of divine justice. The real issue is a fundamental, unbridgeable gap, an asymmetry of perspective. It's the difference between a finite, human viewpoint, totally consumed by personal pain, and the kind of viewpoint that designs and sustains billions of galaxies. The two just aren't on the same level.
So, where does all this leave Job? I mean, what's the point of this whole speech from the whirlwind? Well, it's not about crushing Job with God's immense power. It's actually about offering him a new, much deeper kind of wisdom. And we need to be absolutely crystal clear on this point. This speech never, not once, says, hey, Job, here's the good reason you suffered. It never tries to explain the problem of evil. It is not an excuse. It's not a justification. In fact, it kind of argues that asking for simple justification might be the wrong question to begin with. Instead, what it is a radical, powerful, forceful lesson in perspective.
The whole goal is to pull Job out of this tight, suffocating vortex of his own pain and force him to witness a reality so vast, so ancient, and so mind-bendingly complex that his own tragedy, as real and as terrible as it is simply not the center of the universe.
And this all points to the final takeaway. The wisdom that's being offered here isn't about finding all the right answers. It's a whole new kind of wisdom. It's the humility to accept that you don't know everything and you can't know everything. It's the freedom you find when you let go of the need for the world to fit neatly inside your human-sized box of logic. So we're left with this final, really powerful question. If the response to immense suffering isn't a neat little explanation, then what is it? Perhaps the answer isn't a piece of information at all. Maybe it's an experience, an encounter with a reality so much larger than ourselves that it doesn't just solve our old questions, it makes it impossible to even ask them in the same way ever again.